Hello, Internet. So, I'm gonna do a little different. I'm gonna do something a little different in this episode. I'm gonna be reviewing two movies. One that's right up my wheelhouse, and one that I normally wouldn't watch, and the crazy differences in opinion. You'll see. You'll see.
We will have to tolerate your opposing views on everything. So here we go. It's time for Jesse. Come and gather round.
So, I saw two movies recently. One very good, one very boring. Straight Outta Compton and Fantastic Four. I'm going to tell you which one I liked more than the other, which one was not as good. First, let's talk about the pacing of each movie. Straight Outta Compton starts with a big action sequence, and then moves into introducing all the characters, has some humor, and then kind of, goes the usual biopic route where it's like, hey, this is happening, and hey, remember this person? He's famous and he's in this movie. Not really, you have someone playing him. It's a younger version. It goes up, and then there's trouble, but then they all go the separate ways. And then it ends, I don't want to spoil, but it ends on a somewhat sad note, but also kind of hopeful and inspiring. Fantastic Four, on the other hand, starts... I liked the beginning of this movie. It wasn't really an action sequence, but it was charming. I liked how they went about it. And then it kind of keeps going about, kind of meh, blah, blah, and then action sequence, and then sad, boring, sad, and then another action sequence, and then it just kind of ends. Like, here's an ending, it's kind of happy. Yeah. As far as characters go, Straight Outta Compton mostly focuses on Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. Everyone else is just kind of background characters. Their manager Jerry is also kind of an important character. And then people pop up here and there, but it's mainly about those three. Which worked for the film, but I do feel like the other members of N.W.A. kind of didn't get proper coverage, I honestly don't know much about N.W.A. before seeing this movie, but yeah, I feel like it would have been better if they had focused more on everyone. Although maybe the movie would have been too much. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it wasn't totally fair. Every character has something bad about them. It's not black and white. It's like, Ice Cube does this thing, and Dr. Dre goes on this one thing. And teams up with some less than good people. Even the main villain of the villain, other than the police, he had good intentions, and it's hard to say he was totally bad. But yeah, the police though are pretty much as evil throughout the movie. But other than that, every character was very fully fleshed out. I felt they had their good, they had their bad, but they all pretty much wanted to be good. I liked Michael B. Jordan as Human Torch. He did a very good job, I felt. Everyone in the movie was at least a little bit one-dimensional, but for what his one dimension was, it was entertaining. It was the only really entertaining thing. He was the only source of humor in the movie, so I like that. Now, as far as the actor playing Reed Richards, I usually don't like him, but I thought he did a decent job playing Reed. As far as everyone else, it's okay. There is a very obvious villain, there's very obvious bad people, and it's just kind of about them dealing with it. The movie takes so long to establish all these characters, and to establish, oh, how much this sucks. And then, boom, villain, the end. Pretty much. Like, the third act is very condensed. It's very... quick. At least it felt that way. Okay, now we got the stuff out of the way, let's talk about, without going into any spoilers, more specifics, comparing the two movies. So, in case you haven't guessed already, I love Straight Outta Compton. Didn't really like Fantastic Four. Shocker, I know. Straight Outta Compton was a much better story about a team of young people coming together, and then having some drama, but then, you know, finding peace, winning the day, I guess. You know, they didn't really save the world. They had they played a very important part in history, as far as commenting on the state of police brutality and the state of race in the world during their time, and it reflects to today's time. You could tell that Ice Cube and Dr. Dre executive produced this because they come out the best in the movie. You know, not only do they get a lot of screen time, but they don't have that many faults. I mean, they mess up in the movie, and they do make it clear when they mess up, but compared to pretty much everyone else in the movie, they were just like, we just want to be artists, we just want to do that. You're not really focusing on too many of their issues, which I felt could have been better. Fantastic Four was boring. I'll put that. It wasn't even bad. It would have been good if it was bad, like, well, not good. It would have been more entertaining, I think, if it was bad, like the previous two Fantastic Four movies. Straight Outta Compton had more action sequences and better character development than Fantastic Four. The most entertaining thing about Fantastic Four is reading about what happened behind the scenes. It's some crazy stuff. All allegedly at this point, of course. I'm sure over the next year or two we'll get more confirmations on some of the stuff, but like the director hating the actress who played Susan Storm, just giving her the silent treatment and giving her dirty looks. The actor who played Reed Richards, who I said I wasn't crazy about before this movie, but you know, he's good in this. He's fine in this. Almost getting in fist fights with the director. The director refusing to talk to anyone or anything. He directed, allegedly, he told the actors in scenes how many times to blink and how many times to breathe. He had a huge breakdown during this movie. And he says, according to him, all the studio's fault. That the movie he had originally planned and was originally promised was a great Fantastic Four movie. But then they cut tens of millions of dollars out of the budget, cut out 3 huge action sequences, and yeah, just stopped letting him make decisions, basically. They decide a lot of stuff for him, like who's going to play Susan Storm, how the ending was going to go. And the ending wasn't good. It was kind of like just boring. It was boring again. It was a safe ending, which was kind of which is weird because a couple points in this movie were super sad. So it's like it just didn't feel. The flow was not great. If they were ever to make a movie about the making of this movie, I would like to see that. That seems like a very good, interesting movie to me, or a documentary, or what have you. I would just love to know more about what happened. What happened with all this? But like I said, it's not bad. It's not, because when movies are campy and bad, they're fun to watch. But when movies are gritty and dark and bad, it's just boring. It's just like, oh god, there's still more of this movie happening. Okay, I tried my best to give this movie a fair shake. I did. Ultimately, yeah, it was just boring. Straight Outta Compton, great film. I highly recommend going to see it. I give it 8.5 out of 10. Great movie. Normally not my cup of tea. I usually hate based on true story movies because they're so formulaic, they're so point by point. And that's not to say this one isn't. It did a couple things different that I haven't seen in other true story movies, especially about musicians. They do a couple things different that I really liked, but it did hit all the major points. Basically, if you watch Walk Hard and then watch this, you'll see what I'm talking about. This was a true story based on the lives of musicians. It is definitely that genre of movie, but it's a good that genre of movie. Does that make sense? Fantastic Four. I guess a 6.5. It's, like I said, it's boring. They definitely went with the ultimate Fantastic Four storyline, which is fine. I get it. They want to distance themselves from the last one. The ending didn't feel earned. Just kind of like, hey, everything's forgiven, and we get to do what we want now. Again, I don't want to go into spoilers, but yeah. They spent too much time focusing on before they got powers, and not enough time of them doing stuff with their powers. Aside from training, it was like a very long montage without music and with some dialogue. More than some dialogue. It was a lot of dialogue. Would the movie have been better if the director got to do what he wanted? Most definitely. Would the movie have been better if the director didn't act like a child and tried to do the best with what he had and didn't antagonize his actors? Also, most definitely. Both the studio and the director really messed up with this one. They just didn't... They refused to see eye to eye, the director refused to compromise, and the movie suffered because of it. So here's the hoping that it goes back to Marvel in some capacity. I doubt... If Marvel... I'm going to say it. If Fox sells Fantastic Four back to Marvel, I do honestly believe they will not do another Fantastic Four movie for like another 10 years. But the characters could show up in other characters' movies, which is something. Yeah, there's really not much else to say. I'm still hopeful for Deadpool. It seems like Fox really let them do what they want for that one, because that was more of a passion project, I think. Whereas Fantastic Four was more of a, oh no, we have to make a movie before we lose it kind of situation. And the actor who played Ice Cube in Straight Outta Compton is actually Ice Cube's son. Wow, does he look and sound just like Ice Cube. It's insane. A whole movie I'm like, oh my god, that looks like, that's just young Ice Cube. Wow. So that was cool. To finish up, I guess I just have to say,